Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Off-Centered Leonard from Cardcast, and it's been a little bit. Anything that you've seen come down my channel has been mostly multicast streaming through Whatnot. But here I have a great interview and a great story that is a direct link to baseball life in the late 1950s and early 1960s. And this interview is with a gentleman by the name of Robert Murray, who was the spring training bat boy for the Chicago White Sox from 1959 to 1961. Previously, he was the visiting team bat boy. And he's got a great story to tell with some really cool collectible items. So enjoy the episode and stay tuned to the end for the next show that I'll be putting out soon. Thanks, guys. All right, everybody, I'm here with Robert Murray. He was the spring training bat boy for the Chicago White Sox from 1959 to 1961. Prior to that, he had some experience being a spring training bat boy as the
visiting team.
Visiting team, yes. And so, Bob, thank you so much for coming on. How did you end up getting the job of being the bat boy in the late 1950s?
Spring training was a lot more casual in the 50s than it is today. The players interacted with the fans a lot more. It was a very casual experience. And I had a vacation in St. Petersburg, Florida with my grandparents and was bored so I went out to Al Lang Field, where the Yankees and the Cardinals both trained and played their games. And while out there, I met the Yankee bat boy, and he said, "How would you like to be the visiting team bat boy here at Al Lang Field?" I said, "I'd love that." He said, "Well, it's easy." He said, "You just come down here every day, and when the bus comes in and the players get off the bus, you ask for the equipment manager and say, 'Do you need a bat boy?' And 9 days out of 10, you're going to say, 'Sure.' And you grab the equipment bags and go in, and you're the bat boy. And you're seeing all of these great players and all of the teams. And it was a fabulous experience. And of course, at the end of the day, if there were any broken bats, well, they were left behind, and I picked them up and brought them home. So,
well, you had great foresight in that's for sure. So that was the first part, but then all of a sudden...
Well, then I decided, I did that for 2 years, and I said, I've been a bat boy for 2 years. Maybe I can get a full-time bat boy and be a team bat boy. So I wrote to all the teams that trained in Greater Florida, and I got a letter back from the White Sox. It turns out that in 1959, the White Sox were sold by the Comiskey family to Bill Veeck. And Chuck Comiskey was still at the park, and he didn't know really what to do. And my letter came in, and he said, "Well, there's not many decisions I can make." But he said, "I can hire the spring training bat boy." So he wrote a letter back to me and told me what to do and told me to go to Tampa and go to the team and present this letter to the equipment manager, Sharkey College, and see what happens. So I did. My dad and I got in a plane. We went to the training. It was Al Lopez Field in Tampa. Walked in, asked for Mr. College, and all the guys said, "Oh, you mean Sharkey?" And I went over to Sharkey and I gave him this letter for Mr. Comiskey. He said, "Well, if Mr. Comiskey wants you to be the bat boy, you're the bat boy. But you better hurry up, get your uniform, because we're leaving for Lakeland in 15 minutes to play the Tigers."
So they issued you a uniform right there on the spot.
Right there on the spot.
And I will show a picture of Bob in his uniform as he was featured in an article in Sport Magazine. And was it 1961 or 60? It's got
61, 62.
Okay, so it's got Vada Pinson and Norm Cash on the cover. So here is Bob, and that's Nellie.
That's Nellie Fox.
Nellie Fox. Who's this?
Sherm Lawler.
Sherm Lawler. Okay, yep. So we got Sherm Lawler and Bob over here.
And then up there's a picture that was also in Sport of Louis, Al Smith, and
Yeah, you look like one of the boys. Yeah, you absolutely look like a rookie there. So, how nervous were you on your first bus? I mean, you get the uniform, you get the stuff, and now you're on the bus. Now what?
Well, my father was out there. He was wondering what was happening while I was inside. And when I came out in a White Sox uniform and said, "Follow the bus. We're going to Lakeland," and he was, I think, more excited than I was.
Yeah,
But there was a great coach, Don Gutteridge. And Don Gutteridge eventually ended up as a manager for the Yankees, I guess, for a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And he took me immediately under his wing. Gotcha. And he was sort of my guardian. And it was great fun. I mean, they let me take batting practice. They let me.
So I was going to get into that because reading that article, what I noticed was they allowed you to take the field. You got to play pepper with like Roy Sievers, and you got to actually hang out with the guys.
Yeah,
and
we go to dinner together.
Yes, yeah.
And hung out with some of the baseball writers.
Yeah, and so and then so. At your first year, you're kind of green, but you got taken under the wing by Don Gutteridge. Were there any like big mistakes or anything that you felt that you might have did wrong?
Well, the worst mistake I made was we were playing a team and there was a runner on third and a fly to the outfield and. He tagged up to come home, and I thought he missed home plate. So I kept pointing at home plate for the runner to come back to the bag, and so then the other team called for the ball, and then they appealed for the out. Well, he had left in plenty of time, and the umpire said to me, "Why don't you let us do the managing? Let the coaches do the managing, and you just pick up the bats."
Right. Yeah. And Al Lopez kind of
he said, "Forget it,"
Yeah, he kind of stuck up for you a little bit.
Yeah.
Just shake it
off. Just pick it up.
So guys like Hall of Famers. I mean, Nellie Fox and Louis Aparicio, and just having access to those guys, and even when you were in the visiting. When you were doing the visiting teams.
Yeah.
I mean, being around guys like Ted Williams and potentially the Bronx Bombers and stuff like that. I mean, how did you take all that in? Was it just like, were you just like in a dream? Or
well, it was wonderful. I mean, it was, Mickey Mantle, of course, was there every other day because he was playing with the Yankees. Yeah. And I got to meet Mickey and I got to have my picture taken with Mickey by the professional Yankee photographer, and I still have that picture of Mickey and I, who later I sent it to him, and he autographed it and sent it back to me. So
wow, that's absolutely fantastic.
It was a wonderful experience.
Now, I did a little bit of research on you, and I know that last time I was here, you had mentioned that you played at the University of Pennsylvania, UPenn.
Yeah.
Am I correct by saying that you were made captain of that team in 1963?
No.
That wasn't you. It was a different Bob Murray?
Yes.
Okay. Because there was two Bob Murrays there.
There were two Bob Murrays there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, one of the things that stuck out in my mind when you were there, you said, you have a thing with Nellie Fox where he taught you how to
chew tobacco. In fact, Nellie gave me one of his bats at the end of the end of spring training. He gave me a bottle bat. He had those big bottle bats, yes. And he never could get a home run, but he always got a hit. Well, I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And I took that back to my high school team. And when I started to play ball, I had my bottle bat. And the coach said, "Well, okay, go ahead." Well, I hit 350 that year. Didn't miss very many. A lot of spray balls to the outfield, and I was Nellie Fox on my baseball team in high school.
Do you think that because of your experience, by hanging out with the boys and taking fielding with them and even taking some BP off of these guys, that it really just gave you a little bit of an edge and that much more experience while you were, seeking your way through high school and college?
Yeah, it was, sure. I mean, when I went back to school, I mean, the kids just were all horrendously envious of all of my experiences. Nelly also taught me how to chew tobacco.
Right.
You know,
right.
he was,
Yeah.
and in one game we were playing a big team, and I decided I would sneak a little tobacco in there. And when I came up to the plate, I just a couple of drops on the plate, and the opposing catcher looked up at me and said, "Holy mackerel!" And he gave 4 balls outside, and I walked.
Absolutely fantastic. Any other,
Well, yeah, back in those days, you couldn't do it today. But in those days, if a writer was doing a story on a player, or anyone from a national magazine or whatever was doing something on the White Sox, they embedded him in the clubhouse. And they always put him in the locker, and the locker was always next to mine, sort of a little bit away from the players.
Yeah.
So I had these great locker mates while I was there. One of them was a young writer who was doing a story on Louis Aparicio. And it was a big feature story, and he was there. And we became great buddies. And I wanted to be a sports writer, and he guided me on guided me on writing that article. And he later grew up, he was in his late 20s, to become one of the top editors at Time Inc. magazines.
Wow, that's
Another year, a guy came in. His name was Shel Silverstein. And he was doing a story he did a thing for Playboy called Uncle Shelby.
Mm-hmm.
And Uncle Shelby went to did various crazy things. And now he was going to try out for the White Sox. And this was his story. Well, so we became good friends.
Yeah.
And when we went out in the field, he went out for some photographs. He said, "Come on, Bobby, you be the backup." And there was a scene where he was sliding into second base with Nellie Fox, who was sliding in, and there I was backing him up as the shortstop.
Well, I think it's very interesting how, and I'm sure that there's a little bit of, I mean, even now, just for insurance purposes, I can't imagine that, that the Bat Boys, kind of, and you were kind of treated like one of the boys. So I'm sure by year 2 and year 3, and the players getting to know you even that much more, and that you were a regular, just being able to have access and do all those things with those guys it's like, I feel like it's a little bit of a time capsule.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate you sharing that story with me. And as we take a look into your collection a little bit here, we'll get some footage of that. But I really want to appreciate you taking your time and explaining to my viewers just that little piece of history there.
Yeah, it was something that could never be replicated.
Yeah.
I mean, one time I was out playing shortstop, and I grabbed one in the back, made a backhander, and a reporter for the Chicago Times said, "Who's that rookie out there?"
Well, there was fans that were requesting your autographs because
Oh,
you were
yes.
full uni.
I had a full uniform with a number. I was number 98,
Yeah.
which is one below Aaron Judge right now.
Yeah.
And they would ask me for autographs, and they said, "Give them the autographs. You don't say you're the Bat Boy."
Yeah.
Because they think you're just putting them off. Just give them your autograph. So there's some kids walking around with a Bob Murray autograph saying, "Boy, I don't know what happened to him." So there's an interesting story that the writer that I told you about from Sports Illustrated. Later, I went to work for Colgate-Palmolive, and I was in media relations and things at Colgate, and the account rep said, "Would you like to have lunch and do things with Gil?" And we had lunch and whatever, and we talked about old times, and then they invited me to the Hall of Fame dinner. There was a Hall of Fame dinner in the Waldorf Astoria to raise money for the Hall of Fame. And these charity dinners, you always go to them, and there are all ladies, they're sitting around taking No. You got off the elevator at the ballroom, and Brooks Robinson was there, and he shook his hand and said, "Hi, I'm Brooks Robinson. Welcome. Thanks for coming." And then you'd walk 2 steps more, and it was Al Kaline. And,
Wow.
So we walked into this room, and there were all the living members of the Hall of Fame, but including Al Lopez.
Mm.
And when I went up to Al, this was now 25 years after spring training.
Yeah.
I went up to Al. Al remembered me.
Wow.
And we started sharing some stories. And I said, remember when you asked me to go out to Early Win and take the jacket and he didn't want to come in? I said, yeah. He said, hey, Early, come over here. And so he came over and said, this is the kid that tried to put a jacket on you in spring training.
Wow.
And so it lasted,
Yeah, those memories and
in the con.
was there any contact in between them in between that period, or did you just kind of, because I feel like when you showed me your card collection, and then went to college, I feel like maybe your career and family life started to take off.
Yeah.
And then the baseball stuff kind of got set
Yeah,
aside.
it did.
But so there really wasn't any contact in between.
No, when they won the pennant, I don't know, the last time they won the pennant after that, I wrote to them and said, are you going to have any kind of a reunion for the living members of the 59 team? Mm-hmm. And they sent me this picture. Jim Landis was still alive, and a couple of others, but they never did anything. And if they were, I was going to fly out to Chicago and be part of the alumni group. But
did you, as far as like did you get to face any of the pitchers, like Billy Pierce or
no?
Okay. They weren't throwing at
They were throwing batting practice pitchers.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah,
batting practice pitchers.
That's still fun.
Yeah, it was great.
So awesome footage. So, we were just talking about how when the team came to Fenway, you were able to
go down and be the bat boy at Fenway Park. Yeah.
Yes, and you said that the players were they were a little more serious, and
they were a lot more serious, a lot more not as jovial and joking around in the clubhouse as we did in spring training.
Thinking back, did you ever, because my impression of spring training, especially at that time and what the players were getting played and stuff, was that they had to try to make the team, or there was no guaranteed spots, even if you were a name. So I thought that spring training would be a little bit more serious. When people came in to the spring training, were they kind of nervous at all as far as maybe losing their spots?
Not that I gathered.
Okay. So that's just interesting to know, because my perception would have been, I got to bust my butt to make sure I got a spot on the roster, and then obviously make my wage by having a good season.
Well, there are guys who were pretty broken up if they went out and had a bad pitching performance, but they didn't bring in it wasn't like today where they bring in minor league players invited to spring training, and that didn't happen. Right. It was pretty much the regulars.
Really those guys that were just getting back into shape, getting ready for the season.
Yeah, it was very few big cut down days, and optioning them off to the minor league camp. There was no minor league camp.
Right.
In those days.
Interesting.
So the guys that were in spring training were pretty much were the big league ball players.
Yeah.
And the new guys that would come in.
Gotcha.
And Norm Cash was there for a while.
Okay,
and then he got traded away.
Yes, yeah. Let's see. Well, Norm Cash rookie year, I think, was 58.
Yeah.
And it was 59. I think he was with the Tigers, and I think they moved him to.
He came to the White Sox.
Yeah. Okay. Let me just. Well, thank you very much, and again, we'll close this out here. And Bob, thank you very much.
Okay.
And then here's some signed baseballs.
Yeah, we'll take a look at those.
Yeah, these are. Looks like the start of a Dodgers bubble. Looks like you got Gil Hodges, Duke Snyder, and Bob Negre. And then here you have.
That's the one. That's the real. That's very rare, because Tamiaki didn't give many autographs.
Gotcha. Yep. Tamiaki's right there.
Tamiaki, Joe Cronin, and Ted Williams.
Very cool. In this ball right here, this 53 ball, was this a game that you went to and caught? And looks like it's a scored foul fly off of Yogi Berra. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that was when I caught at Graves Field.
So this was your hat
That was my hat.
that you used.
Yeah.
That is, do you mind if I pick it up?
Oh, sure.
Oh, wow. And go ahead, tell me about the quality.
Well, look at it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
The bat to the hats today.
Yeah.
The Red Sox hat from over there.
all right, I'm over here with my buddy Rich, and so this is the deal that he's got laid out. Again, I don't know how many times you could go into the woods and buy a hockey collection, but this is what we're working on right now, and obviously I'll share with you guys later on what I picked up, and then it's off to the White Sox Bat Boys collection.